What in the world happened to this woman?
Like she was just a guest shopping at this, not even working there or anything like that. That's really scary.
Plaintiff found a naked female in the cooler of the store, and then they corrected it to the freezer. So it said that the workers at the Dollar Tree don't recognize her.
A woman found dead inside a freezer at a Dollar Tree store in Miami. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live at the scene with the latest. Roy.
Ladies, and that Dollar Tree is now open for business, but police tell us that this victim ended up making her way into this restricted employee-only area by herself. In fact, surveillance video shows her walking into that freezer alone. Crime scene tape blocked off the entrance of a Little Havana Dollar Tree off Southwest 8th Street, 9th Court, after Miami police said 32-year-old Helen Maciel Garay Sanchez was found dead inside a freezer Sunday.
You start thinking about what's going on, and I got concerned with what I just learned, that there was a person found dead.
Customers we spoke with shocked to hear of the death of a woman described in this GoFundMe page as an anesthesiologist, originally from Nicaragua, who was a mother of 2 children, who sadly lost her life while visiting Miami.
So it said that the workers at the Dollar Tree don't recognize her.
Investigators said she was found just after 8 a.m. by an employee at the Dollar Tree, and it appears Garay Sanchez walked into the store by herself Saturday night, didn't make a purchase, but made her way to a restricted employee-only area where the freezers are located. She remained inside overnight, and tragically, her body was found the following day. And the victim's family now trying to transport her body back to...
So yeah, this doctor's naked body was found in the freezer of this Dollar Tree, and according to the cameras, she herself just walked right into this restricted area. Now, it is very possible, but we do have to wait for toxicology reports to come back to confirm this, that she had taken some kind of drugs that caused her to do this. But how often do we hear of people taking drugs and then they get into a car or walk to a store and end up naked in a freezer, passing away? This is very reminiscent of that news story where that Walmart worker walked into an oven, the door closed behind her, it turned on, and then she ended up passing away. Very weird stuff. But looking up this story further, I found another suspicious passing. It happened back in 2021, but as of 2 months ago, the news is still talking about it because the family still has questions. Reading this article from the Daily Star is titled, "Mystery Remains Over Death After Patient Found with 4 Socks Down Her Throat." So this teaching assistant, Maria Morris, 44, suffered from bipolar affective disorder and had been sanctioned under the Mental Health Act at Bethlehem Royal Hospital, where she would pass away in 2021. On September 21st, Maria was observed by staff in her room over the course of an hour, and after the last observation, a member of staff found her unconscious on the floor of her room, having had a cardiac arrest. When the staff tried to resuscitate her, this is when they found a sock down her throat, but when paramedics arrived, they found 3 more. She was eventually taken to the hospital, and in the intensive care unit, the doctor treating her found a very large bruise on her back, and he alerted the police. This was taken to court, and the very same doctor said in his view a patient wouldn't have been able to push socks down her throat without gagging. He was concerned this may have been indicated she had been assaulted. The jury was also told that while Maria was on the unit, she raised a number of concerns about how staff were treating patients. She told one member of staff that patients were being punished at night. But this gets even more bizarre because even though police were called, the investigation was complicated by delays. The Met Police told the court that the team was not able to access Maria's room until 19 hours after her passing was reported, by which point the room had been cleared and one of the socks had been disposed of. But get this, officers also noted what looked like blood under Maria's fingernails, but the inquest heard no tests were carried out to determine where it came from. But even more suspicious than that, there were also no CCTV cameras operating on the wards at the time of Maria's passing, and records about room keys were unclear. Maria's door was locked when she was found, with staff having master keys to all patients' rooms, but it wasn't known exactly who had access or which keys patients themselves had. To make things worse, staff gave contradictory accounts about how often Maria was being checked. Some said she should have been seen 4 to 5 times an hour, while others believed it was once every 60 minutes. But with all these creepy, disturbing details that made no sense whatsoever, the jury concluded that Maria had put the socks into her own throat and rolled her passing as accidental. But they said they could not determine whether the frequency of observations contributed to what happened due to conflicting evidence. And that was that, but the family of Maria Morris is still fighting. because they don't believe what happened to her was accidental, not one bit. But moving on to this next creepy segment, we also had a couple of celebrities pass away under horrible circumstances as well. Take, for example, Rob Reiner, who passed away supposedly being stabbed by his son, but people are saying that South Park predicted what was going to happen to him.
You Annie Mark. Oh.
My goo! My precious goo!
To be fair, that episode is over 22 years old, but given the fact that he and his wife were found at 3:30 p.m., 33, we do know that number is linked to a certain group's calling card.
Oh, what happened to your Whitney Houston cutout?
She fell apart in the shower.
So South Park is not the first and will not be the last when it comes to TV shows, movies, and so forth, giving us future events. Then prior to Rob Reiner, actor Peter Green was found deceased in his Lower East Side apartment on Friday. What prompted a wellness check was because music had been playing in his apartment nonstop for over 24 hours. When police entered his apartment, they found him laying on the floor face down in a pool of blood, and at this time, they don't believe anything suspicious was involved or any foul play, but they did find a mysterious note right next to him that read, "I'm still a Westie." As of right now, no determination has been made as to how he passed away, but the Westies were a New York gang and they are now defunct. What is even more interesting is that Peter Green was also found deceased at 3:30 p.m.
Do you want to know why the conspiracy regarding fake birds or spy birds will never go away? It's because videos like this that randomly pop up, this was captured by a witness in Kazakhstan. He records what appears to be a pigeon that has wires poking out of its back. Literally all alongside its back, it has wires coming out. Like, what is this? And no, this is an AI. This is an actual video. Stop saying again, if it flies, it spies. Take a look at this. Comment below. Tell me what you think.
That video came from the Paranormal Chick, and as creepy as that is, they have came out multiple times and said that they do have birds that are drones. For example, the public, they can buy stuffed dead birds made into drones that could spy on animals or humans, and they look very realistic. And if this is what the public has access to, like I always say, what the government has is night and day, and I am sure they have some hyper realistic birds walking around and doing normal bird things, and they're nothing more than spy bots. Or doing who knows what else. So yeah, if you have not heard, the Statue of Liberty replica, or the Statue of Lucifer, had fallen in Brazil due to very powerful winds, leading people to believe that this is some sort of prophecy for the United States. Now, you may not be aware that there was even a statue of Lucifer in Brazil, but did you know there's actually a statue of Lucifer all across the world?
So y'all, I went down the rabbit hole. Y'all know there's like 9 Statue of Liberties around the world. Here's one. Guess where it's at? Ukraine. Of course, this one's in Tokyo. Paris. El Salvador. Denmark. Look at that, y'all. And look at the address. That's weird, y'all. Paragold. Rio de Janeiro. Another in New York. Y'all, that is crazy.
So in one of my most recent videos, I had spoken about how 72 vultures had passed away together in one spot, and they said it was due to bird flu. And I went down the rabbit hole and I found out it wasn't just these vultures, but a lot of birds are passing away together at the same time, and they're blaming bird flu. Then I asked the question, well, if it's happening to birds, what about the other species? And I said, I haven't seen bats in some time either. And then I saw this terrifying video from Lulu Elliott.
When I tell you this video is extremely alarming, like, I'm not joking. It's literally almost like we're getting it from all angles that we can possibly get it from at this point. Like, what is going on? Like, it's almost like somebody is really trying to make sure that something happens. Here's the video. This is sad. Sad.
Okay, so I was walking my dog and I seen these little black spots on the ground. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's dirt or a fly or something. And then I kept walking more and look at this. All of these are bumblebees. And it's like they're falling out the sky. I literally looked up and then there was one falling out the sky. I don't see any more, but this is insane. Like, what's going on with the bumblebees? Look at all of these bumblebees. Like, oh my God, let me see if I can get closer. I don't want to get stung, but those are bees. And there's so many. Look over here. Oh my gosh, I don't want to get stung. Look, what is going on with the bees? I'm making sure I don't step on any, but what the heck? Look at that one. That one just fell out the sky. I don't understand.
It is very scary, especially knowing how important bumblebees are, and it's a mix of these frequencies and what they're spraying in the skies. They are terraforming the planet for something else, and these natural species cannot handle it.
Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus.
You combine
right.
Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
It reads your mind and it loves you and it wants you, and it doesn't care if you kill it because it's going to just go be with God again.
It definitely sounds like Joe Rogan has been hanging around Peter the Reptile Phil a little too much lately. Even this person left a comment by saying, Rogan definitely wouldn't be saying this because of all his close relationships and dinners he's had at Peter Thiel's house. Definitely not. Like, it's so not weird whatsoever how many Palantir and AI dweebs he's been having on his podcast the last 2 months. Definitely not weird. So yeah, somebody's definitely been in his ear. Because when it comes to Peter the Reptile Phil, he came out and said that anybody that criticizes AI, they are doing the works of the Antichrist. They are doing the works of demons. They are legionnaires of demons. So according to Peter the Reptile Phil and these other tech giants, speaking against AI is speaking blasphemy because that is their God. This really does go hand in hand with Yuval Harari, the advisor of the former World Economic Forum chairman, stated when it came about AI rewriting the Bible or creating new Bibles.
Third thing about AI that everybody needs to know, it's the first technology ever that can create new ideas. You know, the printing press, radio, television, they broadcast, they spread the ideas created by the human brain, by the human mind. They cannot create a new idea. You know, Gutenberg printed the Bible in the middle of the 15th century. The printing press printed as many copies of the Bible as Gutenberg instructed it, but it did not create a single new page. It had no ideas of its own about the Bible. Is it good? Is it bad? How to interpret this? How to interpret that? AI can create new ideas, can even write a new Bible. You know, throughout history, religions dreamt about having a book written by a superhuman intelligence, by a non-human entity. Every religion claims our book, all the other books of the other religions, humans wrote them. But our book, no. It came from some superhuman intelligence. In a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. That just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI. that could be a reality in a few years.
But moving on and still talking about AI, there is a thing called a Netflix house, which is basically a theme park for Netflix, and a lot of people are going to, but they did not read the fine prints. This creepy video comes from Sidebar with Buck.
Okay, this like new Netflix house gaming studio thing is fucking insane, and like they're literally gonna steal your identity. Just hear me out. Allegedly, and also I'm not some credibility. I studied criminal justice, sociology, psychology. I got my master's in domestic homeland security, and I went to law school. I failed the bar 3 times. I'm not a good test taker. However, I know a few things about social media and data and all these things kind of combining. Somebody posted this on TikTok, and essentially it says that when you enter a Netflix house, you give Netflix the right to use your name, your likeness, and your voice in any use worldwide forever without compensation, right? And immediately I was like, there's just no way that that's real, right? Because like that's so scary. It's real and it's worse than I thought it was. So I took my ass over to netflixhouse.com/terms, and there was all this hoopla, and I don't like what they're doing. Basically, when you go in and you read all the terms, when you walk in there, you're giving them everything. You're giving them your face, your movements, your identity, how you talk, how you walk. You're giving them everything. And you're giving them the right to AI generate you. And you're giving them the right to use all that in their content without compensating you whatsoever. Oh, and if you bring your child in there, you're also saying that it's okay for them to take your child's data, which is scary. So then I got to thinking, why would they be doing this, right? Well, I live in New Jersey, and if you know, New Jersey is the home to the new Netflix, like Hollywood studio, essentially. And we know that Warner Brothers, Netflix, merge, like we know that there's a lot happening in the entertainment industry. They're going to need a lot more content to get put out. It's going to be AI generated. It's going to be us. You could not catch me dead walking in there. Dead. Because I worked in internet crimes against children and special victims while in law school. And how the heck do I know that you're not going to go into adult content? Saw that once or twice in a case. I don't like that. One of the reasons I went to law school and why I'm getting into entertainment law, social media law, is literally to protect you guys against this. Again, not a lawyer yet. We're getting there. But I'm just saying I would really look into what you're giving up when walking into certain establishments. That is all.
Here is something interesting that she did not mention in this video, is that entrance to the Netflix house is completely free. Now you do have to pay for certain games, foods, things like that, but to actually enter the park, it's free. But these people don't realize what they're paying with is their data.
If you guys saw my last video about how Netflix House is essentially just like an AI harvesting data center where they'll like literally steal your likeness and then like AI generate you for their new shows, allegedly. You won't be surprised to know that the CEO literally admitted that they're all in on AI in October. All right. So sources, CNBC. You literally search CNBC, Netflix, all in on AI. This pops up. Beautiful. And I love how it says that it's creeping into the entertainment industry, because I do find this quite creepy. So Netflix says that AI presents this significant opportunity across its platform, including improving its recommendations and ads, which is what we're used to. Targeted ads, the targeted algorithm, whatever. And movies and TV content. Right. And our CEO, of course, little Teddy over here, we're confident AI is going to make us tell our stories better. All right. For a little bit more background, while I was in law school, I worked in a special victims and internet crimes against children unit. I'm going to tell you what I don't like. Back into our little article, we see that Netflix provided recent examples about how in Happy Gilmore 2, they used AI tools to de-age characters. So hear me out, and this is just a hypothesis, an educated guess, one might say. So say I go in here and I give you all the rights to my likeness, and you're able to AI generate me in the back of your TV shows and everything, and do whatever. I have no say, and I get no money from it, but sure. You can age me and make me look younger. So I might see myself in 5 years walking through a movie. Would I even realize it's me? And then, of course, I always take the perspective from the unit that I worked in where, obviously this technology exists where they can age you and de-age you. And I'm just saying that if that gets into the wrong hands, you can only imagine the type of horrible content that gets created. And then you come to think why there's no regulations on it, right? I'm just saying. What I really want everyone to take from this is just keep your likeness to you. It's the last thing we have. Everybody's writing sounds the same. Every email sounds the same. Every commercial sounds the same. There's a script for everything. Be yourself, be real, have a personality, have opinions. It's the one thing that AI can't really have, right? Like we have all these experiences and these things that we love and we have emotion that AI doesn't have. It's trying to learn it.
We had a swarm, a big gnarly swarm of them black tentacled things that I told y'all do exist because I got them on video already. And many people have been recording strange sounds coming from the sky, and they kind of sound like a deep growl or like a really odd sound. It's kind of like an animal growling, but it's nothing you recognize. These things I told y'all, they are coming closer and closer to the surface. Okay, in my local group, last night, people started posting, did you guys hear those helicopters? It's like helicopters that were flying very, very low. It shook the whole house. Everyone was jumping out of bed wondering what the loud sound was. And they're like, oh, it was a fleet of helicopters above us. Everyone's saying it was loud helicopters and people were freaking out. Well, somebody posted, I'm going to put the video in here. I'm about to put the video in here. I'm about to show you the video. You need to, suspend your disbelief for a minute and don't assume you know what you're looking at. Look at it several times, okay? Check yourself. Check again, check again, check again. Watch it over and over. Because this person, it looks like their Ring Cam or something they posted, and it's only like a top sliver, so it's going to look a little bit funny. But it's the way the guy posted it. It's like a part of his Ring camera footage, a Ring Cam or something of the sort, surveillance, okay? You can clearly see several black things floating through the sky, like swimming, several black things. And they're making that low, gurgling, growling sound that can be mistaken for a helicopter until the black tentacle things go. And then you can see a helicopter behind them. And that is clearly a helicopter. But the first several things that fly through are not helicopters. They have no lights. These are those black tentacled creatures, and it looks like a helicopter is either, I don't know, escorting them or chasing them. Watch for yourself. This is not AI. This is someone who lives in the town next to me. It's just a guy who published his little surveillance video in our local group.
That video came from Elkin Eve 1984. Now what's strange, and as most of you already know, I have been covering these black flying things for quite some time on all my channels, but helicopters are seen chasing these things multiple times. Like for example, over here in Arizona at the beginning of this year.
What the f*** is it chasing?
Wait, a helicopter's in the sky. Dark. What is that shit?
What are those three things right there?
What is that?
Record it.
I am.
You see him? What is it?
Why are they flying in the dark too? What the?
Chasing something.
What the? Look at those. Look at three of them.
What the is it? Keep recording it.
For free from a thrift store. Yeah, she walked into a thrift store. It was laying there. They said, you can take it. You can have it. And then after she got to her car, she realized there was something incredibly wrong with this Bible. And shortly after finding out there's something wrong with this Bible, crazy things started happening. So she gets this Bible out to the car, opens it up. It is not only written backwards, but it is printed upside down as well. which is weird enough, but all the books in the Bible are printed backwards and it's upside down. Now, shortly after figuring this out, her car breaks down. The radiator literally explodes in her car, with the Bible sitting on the dash. Now, the lady took this as a big sign to get rid of this Bible.
This is why I stay far away from secondhand antiques and thrift stores, and it absolutely blows my mind when I see people buying even Ouija boards from these antique stores. I don't know what was being done with these items beforehand.
Now, if you're anything like me, you might be wondering, what is that? Supposedly, what you're looking at is called a pocong, and it's incredibly creepy. The pocong is a ghostly figure with deep roots in Indonesian and Malaysian folklore, and it's one of the most unsettling spirits in Southeast Asian mythology. Here's the backstory. In traditional burial practices, the deceased are meant to be wrapped tightly in a white shroud or cloth that covers their entire body. That cloth is then tied off at the head and feet, and then wrapped snugly around the rest of them. But here's where things get eerie. If those ties at the head or feet aren't undone before burial, folklore says the spirit cannot leave the shroud peacefully, and that is when the pocong appears. According to legend, the pocong rises from its grave seeking help. It wants someone to untie the knots that bind it. And because it's wrapped so tightly with its feet bound together, it can't walk like a normal person. No, instead it hops, and that's exactly what you're seeing in that video. And it doesn't stop there, because if you let the pocong get close enough, you'll get to see the pale, decaying face of the deceased with its empty, hollowed out eye sockets staring right back at you. There's something about the way it moves that's very unnerving, and if I saw that coming toward me and didn't immediately drop dead of a heart attack, I would probably have the same reaction as the guy in the video.
I truly do believe as the veil thins more and more due to these frequencies and things being sprayed in the skies, we're going to start seeing more and more of these quote-unquote folklore legends. That video came from Oddities on Elm Street.
Day before Mother's Day, one mother in Missouri would vanish. Hello, true crimerers. This is the case of Echo Lloyd. Viewer discretion is advised. Echo Michelle Lloyd was born in 1972, and she lived her entire life in Missouri. She was the incredibly proud and loving mother to 4 children, and she also had a few grandkids. Her children would say that their mom had a very bubbly personality, someone who was really easy to get to know. People just felt comfortable going to her. At the time this case occurred, she had moved to Edwards, Missouri, and she was living in a very a remote property. That's like a 10-acre property, specifically right here. And you can see there's really not much around it. You can see a property down there. You can see a property up there. But she lived alone at the time in this trailer. She had been separated from her husband for some time. The last time anyone heard from the 47-year-old mother was the day before Mother's Day of 2020, so on May 9th. Echo had talked to her daughter, Kelsey, and then the following day, she would go to her mother's home to say Happy Mother's Day and to give her some flowers. But when she knocked on the door, nobody answered. And her mother's car was also not parked in front of the house. So she left the flowers and the card on the porch, and on the card it just told her, to please call me when you get home and when you get these. Echo never called her daughter. For the next few days, they tried to get a hold of their mom, but again, she's not answering her cell phone and she's not answering her home phone. So 5 days later, they would go to her home. This time, the car is parked out front. She goes to knock on the door. She starts banging on the door and the window, but they're getting no response. So the daughter will end up breaking a window to get inside the house because she doesn't know if her mother's, dying or passed out. But when she gets inside, there's no sign of her mom. Her purse, her wallet, her ID were all still in the home. There were things kind of strewn about on the floor. There was also rotten food out on the counters. And the house being messy and in disarray was way out of character. She was extremely OCD. She kept everything very, very neat. This did not look like something she would leave behind. What was kind of strange, though, was that even though her car was out front, they could not find her car keys. They did not find her cell phone. And the medications she took were also missing from the home. So they report their mother missing because something is very wrong here. There was no, real signs of foul play, meaning there was no sign of an altercation, nothing was broken or tossed over, there wasn't any blood or pulled out hair or anything along those lines, no forced entry. When police were looking into this, they discovered that the last time anyone saw her physically was on May 9th, 2020. She had gone to a Dollar General. Multiple witnesses would claim they saw her there. They also found a receipt in the home that was dated May 10th from Walmart after the Dollar General trip. And it sounds like she actually entered the home after the flowers and the card were left. I'm assuming they were brought inside the house, but I'm not 100% sure. Was something already in the process of happening when maybe Echo entered the house that day? Echo Lloyd's cell phone has not been used since. I have to imagine they have pinged it, but they have not located it. While she took her medication or someone had her medication, she had not called to refill it. Her bank account has not been touched since May 9th. One extra wrench in this is that Echo had a neighbor, a male, that was apparently giving her a lot of problems. He was extremely possessive. And she had told people that she was not sure how to talk to this person, how to approach them, that this person may be a little off, maybe a little dangerous even. Now that person, that neighbor, has been talked to. They have denied having anything to do with whatever happened to Echo. No suspects have been publicly named. No persons of interest have been publicly named. There is currently a monetary reward for any information that helps lead to discovering what happened to Echo and bringing her home. A person cannot just disappear into thin air. Someone knows something. Perhaps that someone is you. Echo has tattoos of the words "Let It Be" and tattoos of birds on her right forearm, the names of her 4 children, Kelsey, Casey, Caitlin, and Kylie, on her right wrist, a blue survivor ribbon on her wrist, a rose on her ankle, and a butterfly on the right side of her chest. If you have any information on this case, you are asked to please call 573-526-6178 or 660-438-6135.
That video came from Making of a True Crime, and it's just eerie how many people just outright disappear, and a lot of these cases you really don't hear of. And what we know about certain islands and certain cases, it really makes you wonder, could some of these missing people could be on one of those islands still there? But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.